I wish I were as smart as Norbert Wiener. That is what I truly want to be. 'Cause if I were as smart as Norbert Wiener, I could put a stop to entropy.
Children on playgrounds all over the United States are singing this tribute to scientist Norbert Wiener. But who is this great scientist, and what does this children's rhyme really mean? To answer that question, we've traveled to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology to meet Norbert Wiener himself, the author of the upcoming book, The Human Use of Human Beings, a more user-friendly version of his famous scientific book, Cybernetics. Mathematician, engineer, biologist, humanist, and a jolly good bloke really, Wiener, professor at MIT, still finds time to write books while solving some of the world's most puzzling and perplexing scientific problems. That might well be Dr. Wiener over there, but we'll come back to him a little later. Dr. Wiener was born in 1894 in Columbia, Missouri. A child prodigy, he was homeschooled until 7, got his degree in mathematics at 14, and his PhD from Harvard at 18. In 1918, during World War I, Private Wiener worked for the Ordnance Department of the US Army, computing firing tables used for ballistics. His service is one of the reasons it was natural for Wiener's friend Vannevar Bush to think of Norbert 30 years later, during World War II, when the Allies needed a way to put firing tables directly into radar-guided anti-aircraft guns. One of the Allies' most pressing problems in the early years of World War II was the devastating Luftwaffe attacks on Britain. The Luftwaffe problem was one of predicting the future. How can you shoot at a plane that is going as fast as your bullets? It was during this wartime mathematical work related to radar-directed anti-aircraft fire when Wiener recognized the fundamental relationship between two basic problems, communication and control. The control problem was where Wiener and his very young and appropriately brilliant assistant, Julian Bigelow, happened upon the general importance of feedback loops. Then it occurred to Wiener and Bigelow that the human organism had already solved the problem they were facing. How is any human being, or a chimpanzee for that matter, able to reach out a hand and pick up a pencil? How are people able to put one foot in front of the other, fall face forward for a short distance, and end up taking a step? Both processes involve continuous, precise readjustments of muscles, similar to the servo mechanisms that move the gun. Both guided by continuous visual information, similar to radar, and both are controlled by a continuous process of predicting trajectories. The prediction and control take place in the nervous system, the control circuits of the animating automata. Well, this is all very awfully interesting, but where better to capture the spirit of cybernetics than from Dr. Wiener himself? Dr. Wiener? Dr. Wiener, excuse us. Dr. Wiener? Dr. Wiener?
What? Can I help you?
Dr. Wiener, you founded the field of cybernetics and, as we say, written the book on it, Cybernetics. Can you explain what it is to us?
It's all right here. Read it yourself.
Dr. Wiener, that's some pretty complicated math. Can't you explain it for the common man?
I guess I'm going to have to. I am currently writing a book that I'm hoping will bring cybernetics to the masses. I'm calling it The Human Use of Human Beings.
So, Dr. Wiener, just what is cybernetics?
In scholarly terms, which you may not understand, cybernetics is the study of systems and control, but in an abstracted sense, not in an empirical sense. The emphasis is on the functional relationships between the different parts of a system. These include the transfer of information and the circular relationships that define feedback and self-organization. The main innovation in cybernetics is that we now understand that goal-directed or purpose as a negative feedback loop, which minimizes the difference between the perceived situation and the desired situation. Does that help you?
That helps, but only a little. Can you elaborate?
Look, machines transform incoming messages to outgoing messages according to a set of criteria. If the transformation improves the performance of the system, then the system can be said to learn. Take a machine that plays chess. If it chooses each move to play based on which has the greatest merit, and it also keeps track of the moves it doesn't make, and then uses that information later, it can improve its game. And it can be said to actually learn, and that machine may actually be able to surpass its creator.
That's still very complicated, Dr. Wiener. Maybe you could explain it for little Timmy. He's very bright, but he's only 12 years old.
On the most simple level, imagine the heater in your house. That heater comes on, and the hot air that comes out eventually bakes everyone in the house. But if you had a thermostat indoors, that thermostat gets information, negative feedback, inside the house. When your house is too hot, the message goes to the thermostat, too hot, and is transformed into an outgoing message. Turn off the heater. When the house is too cold, more negative feedback comes, and the incoming message is transformed into an outgoing message. Turn up the heater for little Timmy. In this way, you have a self-organizing machine that changes itself, and in some ways, its function, based on the messages it receives and how it transforms them.
Well, that's quite simple enough and doesn't require so much math.
Dr. Wiener, thank you so much for that explanation of cybernetics. However, would you be able to provide us with another example?
Imagine a pool ball striking another pool ball. Traditionally, we would say that if we know the velocity and the angle of which the first ball strikes the second, we can know where it will go. In cybernetics, we're more interested in knowing where it isn't going, because the more we know about where it isn't going, the more we can predict where it will go. Traditional physics, given initial conditions, a machine with enough computing power would be able to predict a system's evolution for eternity. In this view, the universe is completely deterministic, entirely knowable, and as precise and as predictable as a clock made by Newton or God. By contrast, my worldview operates like a pair of baggy pants, holding together all right, but consistently rearranging itself every time one tries to sit down.
Okay, Doctor. Our heads are spinning, so what does this all mean?
What it means, young man, is that we can look at biology, servo mechanisms, computing machines, all in the same light. They all do the same thing. They get input, they get messages, they have feedback, and they put out messages. We can look at them all as doing the same job in the same way.
Dr. Wiener, thank you so much. I'm finally beginning to get a perfect picture of what you're talking about. But aren't you afraid that these machines are going to take over the world?
What I am worried about are the gadget worshippers and the people that think that machines will free them from personal responsibility. I'm worried about the government that will put into the hands of machines when to push the button that will launch the bombs that will result in the destruction of all of us. As machines become more and more able to achieve human purposes, they become more and more accustomed to formulating human purposes. Indeed, one of the great problems of our future is going to be the relationship of man and machine. Machines will be able to not only play chess, but they'll be able to learn and make decisions for us. What decisions are we going to let them make?
Thank you, Dr. Wiener. Automatically aimed weapons, thinking devices.
intelligence machines. Who knows where this future is going to lead us? Be sure to return to your local theatre next week when Young American Films will bring you another exciting report from the world of tomorrow.